True believers, thank you so much for tuning in today. Today, we're going to ask the question because we are mere hours away from the next Bitcoin halving. And we're going to look at previous history. We're going to consider some of the history, and I'm going to tell you exactly where crypto is going to go right after that. Now, am I a financial advisor? No. So you can't invest based on what I say. All you can do is look at it and say, oh, it's a good guess, bro. And it's going to be the right guess because it's not financial advice, but I'm always right. So let's kick this off. Here's the intro, and now we're going to get into what the halving is.
It's your boy Bleed. Everybody listen up. Let's get it. I'm trying to put money in your pocket. That crypto wallet. That bing bada bing ching ching big profit. Even when the market's sideways, I'm looking for ways to get paid. I'm checking my coins around breakfast, then again around bedtime. Bet this, it's not financial advice, but I'm always right. 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 I'm always right.
All right, guys. So we're going to check out the halving. But before we do you good morning? Because if you good morning, good morning. If you don't good morning anyway. If you guten morgen, then guten morgen. If you buenos dias, then buenos to your dias. If you, I don't know what they say in China, but if you do that, ching chong, whatever you're supposed to say there too, I agree with that as well. So I hope everybody's having a great day. We are a mere 11 hours as of right now away in estimation of the halving, with only 67 blocks left to be mined. And then once they're closed, then we will be at the halving. And what does that mean? Well, I'm going to tell you exactly what it means, but not until we do good morning. So good morning to you, Richard Caldwell, Jay Locke, Masonic Mike. We got Brian Bootyhead in the house. Blockchain Bonehead is here. We've got Alexander Harris. We've got George Lopez Garcia. Good morning. Volted Mark is in the house. Good morning. Justin W. Good morning. Crypto Antagonist. Good morning to you, sir. Aaron Thompson's in the house. Good morning. Richard Nelson is here. Ramon Betancourt is here. Kathleen Blaze is here. Good morning. No big crash that we've seen so far, even despite apparently Israel fired on Iran again last night. So despite even that dip, and there was a dip, a very significant dip that ended up getting bought way back up. I liquidated some Myro, not all of it, by the way, but I liquidated some Myro last night, paid some bills, if you will. And I caught it on the top at like 15.3 cents. And I'm like, all right. So I did that. And then all of a sudden everything crashed. And I was like, whoo, I'm glad I sold when I did. Not that it really mattered, a penny difference or something like that. And it goes down like 13.7. Then I wake up this morning and it's all the way up at 15.8 cents. So, or 0.158 cent, so it was a good run. So I retraced back down to exactly where I sold. So I'm hoping for a nice little rip on Myro. Myro gods, please. Amerside is in the house. Good morning. Shane Jordan is here. Poe in the house. Carlos is here. Armand Clark. First halving. We've got Alt Sniper in the house. We've got Bullsy 12 in the house. Justin W. RW 7610. Joe Anthony 518. Hello. We got Dude Tyler in the house. Forsaken One. Robert Dixon's here. Sean Gore. Truth be told, by 4chan token, guys, you heard him. The Bull Crypto 9 in the house. Bringing, it looks like the Volted Heat's coming this way. We got the Cryptic Mushroom, G-Man in the house, volting it up. Crypto Life Forever. Don't forget Atlas Healthline if you haven't already. We've got another Volted member here. And then we've got Nick Bright going on now. So listen, by the way, when we speak of Nick Bright, we're going to be giving away some Zella Boba. You might be asking yourself, what's Zella Boba? It's the stuff we're going to be giving away on Monday. So shh. It's a secret, but make sure you tune back in on Monday. We're giving away some free crypto. It's going to be the first, hopefully, in a series of. I'm going to start reaching out to a bunch of different projects. Say, listen, let's start giving away some tokens. Let's get some more investors on your project, and the more people who are invested in these projects, I think the better off each one of them is in the long run. Obviously, because there's more holders holding floors, et cetera, et cetera. So let's see what happens there. But the important part, the most important part, the biggest piece. Good morning, GM. If you GM, if you don't GM anyway. So here it is, guys. We are 67 blocks away from the Bitcoin halving. The estimated time right now, by the way, this was speeding up a lot not that long ago. We really had a lot of volume coming through, and it had gone all the way to like April 16. Now, of course, it's an estimate. It's based on how robust the ecosystem is. And of course, as we got towards the halving, people started to sell off, and then we started to see a little downward momentum. And that, of course, slowed it back down a little bit. So right now, it is estimated that it is going to happen. The halving is going to happen at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. And then it's a celebration, and the Commodores are going to come out. Dogs are going to be mating with cats. It's going to get wild. It's going to get absolutely wild. We're gonna talk about what is the Bitcoin halving, number one. And then number two, the next question that we're going to answer is, where is the price action going to go? Where does the price action go? And AI generated a sweet little thumbnail here for you guys to stare at for a second while we talk about what is the Bitcoin halving. So in history so far, there's been several Bitcoin halvings. November 28th, the first reward, by the way, for mining a block when launched was 50 Bitcoin. And then on November 28th of 2012, we got the first halving. The first halving, every block produced 25 Bitcoin. And that caused a price explosion, by the way. Then in July of 2016, on July 9, the halving happened again, and it went down to 12.5 Bitcoin that were minted for every block. Then May 11 of 2020, it became 6.25. So from May 11, 2020 until now, every time you unlock a block by solving the hash equation in order to quote unquote mine Bitcoin, the reward pool on that block is 6.25 Bitcoins. Now, the next halving is in 11 hours. And when that happens, the block reward will fall to 3.125 Bitcoin for every block that gets unlocked. Now, that does not mean if you have 10 Bitcoin today, after the halving, you will still have 10 Bitcoin. It's not about how much Bitcoin you have. The halving merely is the amount of new Bitcoin entering the market at any given time. An estimate is that there are about 9,000 Bitcoin per week that are being mined. Consequently, there are about 9,000 Bitcoin per day being taken off of exchanges by Bitcoin ETFs. So over 6 days, the additional 6 days, you're talking about an extra 50,000 or so Bitcoin that have been pulled off of exchanges for a while now, which has led to price action being pretty high. Bitcoin trading around 65,000 as we speak. I don't know the exact price, but I do want to say it was very close to 65,000. Now, every time this happens, there has been a dip coming into this market. I told you guys almost famously, 6 months ago, that it's not going to be the same thing. I told you guys that this is a different cycle. This is a different beast. This is a different animal. Nothing is going to be the same, but the halving isn't going to change. And I'm going to point this out because it's very important. According to Google, Bitcoin halving searches are the highest that they've ever been. Guess what? The world now cares about Bitcoin. How far does that go? I don't know how far that goes. I would estimate and guess, and we can look at percentages and stuff like that. But my original estimate that I gave you guys a long time ago was that we would be at about 5 to 6 trillion in market cap when we get to the top of this bull market. I'm going to say that's more like 9 or 10 trillion now, because we are on an upward facing trajectory, the likes of which we had not seen before. If we just consider where we are, we consider the level of the bounce, we consider the fact that, look, if it was not for COVID, Bitcoin probably would have hit $100,000 in the last bull run. But because COVID had come out and it had basically crippled a lot of market for a period of time, not forever, but for a period of time, it crippled the market, and it just affected and tripped up the bull run, the real halving bull run. It made things a little bit more difficult. Now, the question for everybody to ask at this point, and I think this would be a fair question: when did we see the top for each one of these halvings? And that's something that we're going to look at very shortly. The big top, now we did have a second blow off top in November of 2021, but the other big top was April of 20. So basically 1 year after the halving is when you really, really, really see the biggest price increase out of Bitcoin. Now, let's take a quick moment. I was watching Miro this morning, looking to see how it was moving. By the way, Miro's up 2%, but Dog with Hat up 15% again. Dog with Hat, just a phenomenal investment, continuing to absolutely send. But that question again, what happened at the last halving date? Now, I do have that on the chart over here. It was actually May. Well, it's May 11th. Yeah, there we go. So this top right here, according to this right here, so we had that second blow off top, which is about 69,000. So, but within a year, we got our first top of the double top, and that was 667%. So I want you guys to just consider that the top of the previous run was 667%. Then you move over to that secondary top that we had, and that goes up to 706% from the halving. So the question now becomes, what do the days look like? Well, let's look at this. This is the date of the halving, and this is the buildup that happened in going into that. So about a month before the halving, we had a significant dip. And if you guys remember, this was COVID. This is when everything kind of just became dilapidated, if you will, over the halving. So here's what happens here. If that does not happen, then I think we look at maybe sideways action. So I don't think this is an outlier. This is not a norm. So when people are telling you they're expecting a gigantic dip, I mean, it's fair enough for them to give you an estimate, but the reality is, what does it look like over here? Did we get a dip on the previous one? By the way, I took the liberty of marking all of these off, and we can now zoom in and we can look and see what happened in this market leading up to this spot, right? So when people tell you that we didn't have these incredible moments prior to the halving, that's not exactly true. Now, we did not get near the all-time high previously, but this is a pretty good reflection of what the cycle looks like. We saw the bottom, then we had this nice run, then we had sideways trading action going into the halving. On the day of the halving, what did we get back here? Now, by the way, I do want to stress, in July of 2016, the excitement and the FOMO build were not near what they are right now. So it's not the same, but we can learn from the past. Now, 30 days before, we got a dip, but it was a dip off of an incredible pump. So it was a more natural sort of thing. So as you can see right here, it didn't go down below like that 2020 crash did because there was no COVID. So what we saw is a nice little healthy move. We saw a good correction. Then we saw sideways action. That sideways action lasted, it looks like 15 days. Then we had a nice little dump down over here. Then we saw a little bit more consolidation. Now, by the way, I'm going to call it a dump because it is there and it does matter. But otherwise, it's basically sideways range for this, for this period of time, right? We saw a little bit of a move there, and then all of a sudden, it starts to get crazy. So from May to, I want to say, October, so we had June, July, October. Oh my God. June, July, August, September, October. So about 5 months sideways action is what ended up happening. And just to give you guys an idea, that is what could potentially happen. And then all of a sudden, this started to happen. We started to see up. Was it up only? No, it's not up only, but it's up and up and up and up and up. And then we get to blow off top at 11:59. And then what happens? And then it crashes back down just a little bit because then we got to get a correction. And then what happens? And then we get another blow off top and it goes up to 13:37. And then we get another big move. And then this happens here. And guys, look at how this went just absolutely bonkers. This is what happened, right? And how long did it take before we got there? Let's come over here and let's find the top. So we find the top over here. And how many days did that take? Well, from here to here, 513 bars. That means that it took 500 days to get to that top. Now, we have some data to go by. Where was the secondary top? Over here, 500 days or so. It's going to be pretty close, I would think. So let's look at this. 551. So in general, around 500 days after the halving is when we're going to see the all-time high. So we got about a year and a half to secure our bags. Now, this includes every single cryptocurrency. This includes every single project. If I were to go back and to show you some of these, then you would see the same kind of magnificent pumps all over. Are they always fantastic? No, they're not always fantastic, but they're always good. Duh. So now what we're looking at is the next question. What does this look like? Well, so this is different. And as you guys, if you guys are paying attention here, this is the difference between the last two halvings. And you can see we didn't come close to an all-time high. Okay. This was the previous one right here. And it was November of 2012 right there. And even if you look at it this way, if I were to zoom here, you didn't get an all-time high at that halving. Remember, it was November 2012 right here. So you didn't get you got the big blow off, but you didn't get the retest of the all-time high before the halving. You didn't get the retest of the all-time high before the halving. You got a retest and you got an all-time high. Guys, we're hovering near the all-time high right now. So what we ended up getting was something vastly different in this market. And that vast difference, those are the ETFs. Now, the question is, how much are people going to be invested in these ETFs? That is a viable and valid question. So what is this going to look like? Well, we're going to save that for just a moment. What is the halving? So Bitcoin's underlying technology, blockchain, consists of a network of computers called nodes that run Bitcoin software and contain a partial or complete history of transactions on the network. Each full node contains the entire history of transactions and is responsible for approving or rejecting transactions. To do that, the node conducts a check to ensure the transaction is valid. These include ensuring the transactions contain the correct validation parameters and do not exceed the required length. Adding more computers to the blockchain increases stability and security. There were 18,830 nodes estimated to be running Bitcoin code on March 5, 2024. Although anyone can participate in Bitcoin's network as a node as long as they have enough storage to download the entire blockchain and its history of transaction, not all of them are miners. Bitcoin mining is the process by which people use computers or mining hardware to participate in Bitcoin's blockchain network as transaction processors and validators. Miners receive rewards and transaction fees. Bitcoin uses a proof of work to validate transaction. It's called proof of work because solving the cryptographic puzzle takes time and energy, which acts as a proof that work was done. The term mining is not used literally, but as a reference to how precious metals are harvested. When a block is filled with transactions, it is closed and sent to a mining queue. Once it is queued up for verification, Bitcoin miners compete to be the first to find a number with a value less than that of a target set by the network. The hash is a hexadecimal number. Mining confirms the legitimacy of each transaction. So, how does this affect Bitcoin overall? And Daniel, I think that Daniel says, I don't think this will take 500 days to find the top this time. We're going to continue to find new tops. It's the blow off top that we're talking about. The blow off top comes in about 500 days. We're going to continue to find new highs. We are currently finding new highs. So as we continue to get that, we're going to continue to see this is a different market. It's just going to continue to go up. At some point, it will start, and it's going to start probably sooner, and it's going to last probably longer as we see it get into that range. But one of the key concepts behind having the reward is to address inflation concerns. Inflation is a decrease in the amount of goods a certain amount of currency can buy at any given moment. In the US, inflation is measured by how much it costs to buy a basket of the goods. Well, there is an acceptable inflation rate considered good for the economy, which is usually about 2%. But this number is generally a target set by central banks as a goal rather than reachable figure. The Bitcoin halving is intended to counter any inflationary effects on Bitcoin by lowering the reward amount and maintaining scarcity. However, this inflation protection does not protect Bitcoin users from the inflationary effects of fiat currency. Gains made regarding market value might offer inflation protection, but it doesn't for the cryptocurrency's intended use as a payment method. Because a halving reduces the number of Bitcoin, demand for new Bitcoins generally starts to increase. This can be noted by looking at Bitcoin's price after each previous halving event. It has generally risen. Bitcoin wasn't intended to be an investment. It was introduced as a payment method that attempted to remove the need for regulatory agencies and third party involved in transactions. It became popular with investors once it was noted that there was the potential for gains. Investors poured into the new asset space, creating demand. For investors, a halving represents a reduction in the new coin supply, but it also offers the promise of an increase in investment value if the event's effects remain the same. But this places Bitcoin investing into the realm of speculation because those invested in the cryptocurrency are hoping for gains. Miners are the groups of people that focus on mining for profitability. When new Bitcoin are awarded, the miners that receive the reward have made substantial gains in the past. As Bitcoin price fluctuates over the years, it remains a lucrative endeavor. If it hadn't, the large mining businesses would not continue operating. However, a halving cuts mining rewards, so the endeavor becomes less profitable with each halving if price remains the same or if price drops. The large-scale mining facilities need to remain competitive, require enormous amounts of money and energy. The equipment and facilities need maintenance and people to conduct it. They also need to upgrade their mining capacity to maintain their position in the industry. For instance, Marathon Digital Holdings, one of the world's largest Bitcoin firms, increased its Bitcoin holdings to 16,900 and its fleet of Bitcoin miners to 231,000. This brings the firm's hash rate to 28.7 trillion hashes per second, or 5% of the network's total hash rate. The increase in production capacity and holdings was likely due to anticipation of the next halving and the amount of hashing power required to remain competitive while continuing to have the liquidity necessary to finance its operations. Consumers and retail users might be affected by a halving in the value of the Bitcoin they hold. Those who buy or make purchases will generally only be affected by price fluctuation. So the term halving, as it relates to Bitcoin, is the amount of tokens that are rewarded for completing the blockchain. In 11 hours now, it will be 3.125 instead of 6.25 currently. What happens when there are no more Bitcoin? It is often thought that in 2140, the last Bitcoin would be mined. However, if the reward is halved every 210,000 blocks, it will get smaller and smaller until one Satoshi is the reward and the total amount circulating equals 21 million. One Satoshi is a thousandth of a Bitcoin. It is the lowest denomination of Bitcoin and cannot be halved. The Bitcoin halving cuts the rate at which new Bitcoin are released into circulation. The reward system is expected to continue until the year 2140, when the proposed limit of 21 million is theoretically reached. In 2009, the reward for each block in the chain mined was 50 Bitcoin. After the first halving, it was 25, then 12.5, then 6.25, and then tonight it will be 3.125. So now, what does that do for the value? So what we're looking at now, and as you move upwards, then the next question is, where do we go? Now, I told you guys, I think 90,000 Bitcoin was going to be by the end of the year. It's now looking like that's going to be higher. We are set for and primed for an incredible amount of growth. Now, I've tried to be conservative in estimates because I would like to see, there's got to be some consolidation. There's got to be some range here where this happens. But I don't think that is enough. I think that we're about to see some real interesting stuff happening in this market when you consider from that last halving, by the way, to let's say the end of the year. Bitcoin went up. By the time we got to the end of the year, Bitcoin had gone up right there 215%. Well, if we consider diminishing returns, if we just consider that Bitcoin goes up 100% instead of 200%, then that puts us in the $150,000 range for Bitcoin. So, I want to say that, despite that the U.S. market just takers, just takers. That's what they're doing today. This market was up many billions of dollars just a few short hours ago. And then the U.S. market woke up and said, "Oh my God, why would there be profit?" Or whatever they say. But as you can see right here, like we're just having a massive sell down again because the U.S. market takers every step of the way, takers. So it does not mean that it will not cause a surge. Now, when I say that, we're going to go back to the daily and we're going to look at it from a daily perspective. This is halving day. I had it on 420. It's actually right there, 419. So the question would now become, well, what happens? So we're going to reduce that size there since we're looking at it. And you can see that there's been quite a level of volatility. This is one of the more volatile candles that we've seen so far for the day. So the question is, are we going to get a bounce off of this 61,000 level as we have wicked down into that 59 range a couple of times so far? Or are we looking at some downward momentum? Well, each one of the previous halvings has represented a tiny bit of downward momentum post-halving. So if you look at the buy the rumor, sell the news moment over here, we had a pump on that day, which is what's happening right now. We're having a huge doji candle right now, kind of wicking, but within what was this, 5 days? Within 5 days, we were down 20%. So the question would be, will we do that again? Now, remember, we were coming off of this COVID thing, so not sure. But let's go look at the previous one. What happened there? A couple days afterwards, you can see it as I'm zooming in here, guys. You're going to see within 14 days, it looks like, or 13 days. There we go. This was right after the halving. Every time after the halving, this is what happens. Now, the question is, will that happen again? But let's go. This to here was a 30% drawdown. So there looks to be a sell-off that's going to happen right after the halving, and the halving does not produce an enormous pump. The pumps have already happened by the time we get to the halving. Okay, so now let's figure out. We got a nice little FOMO rush kind of into this. Then we got a dip, and then the market really started to take off. Now, if you're looking at this previous market for a sign of the way this is going to work, I do want to stress to you, what we saw last time is not how this works. It's not how it works at its finest. It's not how it works at its worst. This is how it works when COVID comes out and people think that everybody on the planet's going to die all of a sudden. There's a moment in time where everybody thinks, oh no, this is like some kind of super flu that's going to wipe us all out. So there was a little bit of overreaction to the market. And then, of course, The governments continue to overreact, and they continue to throw money at the American people and its citizens of the world. Money was just being thrown out, minted, and printed everywhere. And when that happens, what does that cause? Well, it causes people to do wild, speculative, crazy investments. Also, it is April 19. Taxes were due 4 days ago. So people either got or are getting their tax money, which also helps to explain some of this FOMO rush that we've been experiencing over the last little while. Not, by the way, this entire run, but some of this in this region right here, some of these repumps and stuff like that. People are putting a little bit of money into the market right now, hoping that they can turn their, um, excuse me, tax refund into something more. Not, and some people are not just long term, So this is probably not going to be the year where we see the fantastic takeoff. This is going to be the year where we see it all start to happen. So we got a nice little run set up, and it's just a matter of right now of seeing how it takes off. So that's it. That's the summary of what the halving is, and that's what it looks like. We're going to speculate on price action in just a few moments, but I'm going to take you through a little bit more right now. First up, the token unlocks. We talked about this. I want to keep you guys informed. You got ID, CTSI, Pendle over the next couple of days. There's nothing unlocking that's really setting the bar on fire. Gaming metaverse, nothing's unlocking for another 7 days. So you got a whole bunch of different things here, and all you have to do is go find them out. DPIN, by the way, is the latest and newest thing. HNT and File. They don't have unlocks for another 100 or so days. So we'll see how this plays out. And we'll keep checking in with token unlocks. But for the moment right now, token unlocks looking pretty. And by the way, market is starting to reverse. We're getting a little bit of a pump. Let's look at what it looks like for meme coins. Success Kid is up 75% on the day. Ski, this is the dog with ski mask, is up 51% on the day. Dog with hat is up $2.94 today, up to $2.94, up 20%. GameStop is up 17.6. Dev E, which is, if you didn't see my video yesterday, this is a new blockchain sitting at $7 million market cap. It's available. As a matter of fact, the blockchain's already working and ready. This is not something where we're building it a year from now or 2 years from now. It's already working. It's already available. Liquidity on it's 420,000. Had a nice little rip not that long ago. Traded at $2.25. Again, it's highly speculative asset. At this point, it came up to 226. So it was at 226 just a little while back. When we find that bottom, the reversal will be in. I think they're starting to find that bottom, by the way. If you're looking at it, I mean, it's not that complicated, right? What you're looking at when you're doing this is you're looking at downward momentum. Where does it stop? Well, it looks like it's stopping, and that's where you have that takeoff level. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to take off just like that. It could run sideways as we kind of respect this floor for a little while, and just start taking off at a stair-step pattern. I'm not saying it's just going to absolutely explode, but what you're looking for is a trend reversal, and you're starting to see that trend reversal right here. The question is, will it sustain and create some upward momentum? If it does, then you might see this thing. And by the way, this is something that's and look, I've been reading up on these guys. I've been learning what I can about this blockchain, and blockchains go to $1 billion market cap if they're decent, right? Well, this one's decent. So the question is, how far away is that $1 billion market cap? And then once you get to $1 billion, then billion. Once you become $1 billion market cap, then that's when it starts to really pump, as far as capital, not as far as percentage, but as far as capital goes. So it would be nothing to see this thing go to a 2 or 3 billion market cap. 2 or 3 billion market cap from this point right now. We're talking about 300x, 400x maybe. So this thing could get absolutely bonkers and crazy. And by the way, if you are interested, you just go to devve.io, and you can go check the white paper. You can watch the video about what they do, what's going on. As a matter of fact, you can go in, you can meet all the people, the ecosystem. Of course, they have a Telegram, and everything that you need in order to kind of dig in. And there's a lot of stuff going on over here. You can connect your wallet. So I would suggest that you do your own research and try to just kind of check it out. Might be what it might be what Bitcoin was always meant to be. By the way, 8 million transactions per second, sub-second finality. Myro 1521 up 8%. Trump 517. The MAGA token, guys, I'm telling you, MAGA is going to a billion. But it's up 6% on the day. Floki's up 5%. Pepe's up 4%. Grok's up 3%. STC is up 1.5%. MVP is about dead even. Zelaboba is down about 2.8%. Brett is down about 4%. And it looks like Bencoin is down 9% to 3260 right now. And Lil Birdie told me there's a reversal for that coming real soon. But as you know, I haven't been making content. When there's something to report, then we'll start reporting. Any day now we should see a surprise, a nice little surprise coming pretty soon. Now, as far as liquidity goes, as far as where the movers and shakers of this market are going to look right now, as you can see from this last little dip here, we moved back down in here and we did a sweep into this range to pick up this pocket right there. Subsequently, I would think a move to 65.5 would be next in line, or a push down into the 63,000 range on the short term. When we look at the higher time frames are, there's a lot of liquidity that's just not available right now, other than a big and robust move. So we might be, and I know it's going to sound contrary to what I normally say, but there could be a cooling off period coming right now, because I don't see an available area where there's just a ton of money sitting, other than up to 72,000. And I don't know that we've got the buy pressure yet for that to happen. We're going to have to see what the next couple days do. Now, remember, within a week of the halving, it always seems to dip, 15, 20%. Now, the question that we would be asking here is, well, we're seeing things moving a little bit faster, and we just got a 17% dip going into this, coming off of a 17-point dip. With a couple of 17, I do keep yawning, man. I don't think there's oxygen in this room. 17% dips in the last 2 months, which would indicate that there's some sort of, maybe we've already gone through that sort of dip, and we might see it kind of take off. Now, speculative at best. However, fundamentally, we can pop in and we can look at volume. You can see that the volume has not really spiked yet today. It's up a little bit over yesterday, and it's positive, but not near what it's been going back just a little bit. We've had these crazy spike sort of days. Interest still seems to be fairly high, though, when you look at the volume that's going through. Now, Bollinger Band's kind of expanding right now, but expanding to the downside on the daily. On the 1 hour, they're starting to expand a little bit. They started to expand towards the upside after this little squeeze that happened a few hours back. Now they are kind of running back down to the 20 MA for a potential bounce. So it looks like the Bollinger Bands are pushing towards the upside. So positive momentum seems to be in play. SMAs are, we're above each and every one of the SMAs. That's a bullish indicator. Hopefully we can get a bounce off of the green one. The green one is the 20. That's the one that's going to move the most. If we get a bounce off of the 20 right here, then we could expect maybe a big upside move. If we don't survive that, there could be a test down here. But look, luckily these SMAs are not that far away, and we're looking bullish as we speak. So Looks like we're headed upwards, but who the hell knows? Now, auto fib extension gives us a goal up here to break out of at 78,869. It's telling us that we're probably looking for upside momentum. High IQ gave us an entry into a short and then gave us a stop loss. So it looks like there's a momentum shift that just happened. If you haven't already, make sure you sign up for High IQ. That certainly helps as well. But you got an entry position notice right here at 61,804, looking like it was going to absolutely tank, and then something happened here, and the market just absolutely flipped and ripped in the opposite direction. We don't have a buy signal yet telling us to get back in. In fact, on the 1 hour, look how long it's been. We haven't had a buy signal since 9 days ago. So it's been pretty bearish for about 9 days now, according to High IQ. And then on the volume profile tells us that we're probably trending right in. There we go. Our next move is probably going to be somewhere in that 69,400 range. It looks like, anyway, that we're probably due for some momentum or a shift in momentum to that range. And then the next question would become, when altcoin season? I mean, I think that's what everybody really wants to know. Like, when are we going to have some alts really start to run? And I wanted to say it would happen at 50,000, and it did happen at 50,000, but it's muted. I mean, even if we see like major alts are having big moves, it's not really the altcoin season that we're looking for. We see 100% increase. That's not really the altcoin season that we're looking for. We're looking for 2 to 500 to 800. That's what we're looking for. You know what I mean? We're looking for a big move. So we haven't gotten that yet. When you look at meme coins, we can go through and we can look and say Pepe had that magnificent rip. And that's fair. We can go back and we can look and say, Dog with Hat had a fantastic run. Doge just kind of staying in its range right now, not near a high, but it had a little bit of a pump going not that long ago, and sustained, by the way. So some of the major alts and even the major memes and a few of the come up memes are having nice little runs because there's still money and there's still wild gambling that happens in these markets. But fundamentally, we have not seen that big cascade of profits being taken out of Bitcoin. Something is different. And we should point out that the thing that's different right now is that first of all, the economies are squeezing you. You're being squeezed financially by these economies. So your disposable income is a little bit less. Now, for you might be thinking, well, yeah, I mean, if you had more Bitcoin, it'd be a hedge against that sort of inflation that you're experiencing right now. And not necessarily, because, again, that Bitcoin has to become fiat at some point. Now, as an investment, if you had bought Bitcoin, beginning of last year and you're still holding on to it, then you're feeling really good. Right? Your buying power is higher than it was at that point previously. But, these day-to-day operations, not everybody's in it. So if we want people to come into crypto, the people who are already here, they're already there. So we're looking for new people coming in, and they don't have the capital. So until we start to see that explosive blow off top from Bitcoin, the first of many, by the way, the first of many, then we're probably going to have to wait. So that first blow off, probably 80,000. At 80,000, if we can get a nice little rip into this range, then that represents probably a psychological, and it might be 75 to 80. But once we get to that range, we're going to experience a little bit of people taking a serious amount of profit. They're going to want to start to invest in some of the alts because everybody knows what's coming, right? So it's a matter of all these guys are doing it kind of slowly, slowly kind of DCAing their way into some of these alts and putting themselves into positions. But at some point, that Bitcoin money is going to cascade its way down. Now, is it now? Well, no, because the ETH to Bitcoin pairing is still predominantly ETH based at this point. This is where we thought we were going to have an altcoin season. This is where we thought we were going to have an altcoin season. This is where we thought we were going to have an altcoin season, a real big one. I mean, an absolute blow off banger. We didn't get that. What we got is this. We got Bitcoin getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And now, look, if you look at this downward momentum right now, this is telling you that the altcoins are probably not doing a favorable pairing right now. So if today is an indication, by the way, today is actually in the last 2 days have been, I keep doing that, are actually in the green. Let's pop this up on the screen here. The last couple days on the ETH to Bitcoin connection is in the green. So maybe we're seeing a tiny reversal, but we're going to have to see a blowout or a blow off before we can really do anything, because again, it's about trend reversal, and this is not a trend reversal yet. This is just a continued downward momentum. So until we see a trend reversal, we're still in trouble, if you will. Bitcoin, by the way, that dip is being bought back up pretty robustly. So the market seems to be getting that FOMO feeling. So we might just see a nice big move. So I think the message many people are giving out is creating some unrealistic expectations on what impact the halving is going to have immediately. Well, you know what? There's not going to be an effect immediately. I mean, we're going to get some FOMO. We're going to get some new buyers stepping in, but I mean, it's going to be historically about 2 weeks before we start to see anything move in the positive. So we could be looking at a little sell-off over the next couple of days. There is a question, however, again, like you might be able to make the argument here that Bitcoin is having that. Remember that the same thing that we just talked about with the trend reversal on that other token. I mean, you can maybe make an argument that you're seeing this kind of turn this way like that. Am I convincing myself of that, or is it actually happening? You know what I mean? It could be a trend reversal, could be the start of one. So the last time we saw something like this, I want to say, is right here. In fact, we had a big rip here, and we had this downward momentum, and then we saw this the reversal started to push it upwards. So just it's a matter of seeing that upward momentum start again. By the way, if you don't see it on the short time frames, it's okay. It's the long time frames that really matter. So we're still seeing it on the longer time frames. But let's get back over here and let's see, are there any good buys that we're looking at on the 24-hour RSI? And it looks like Sushi is still kind of in that range, coming down. Atom is still in the range. Everything, look at that. You can see just everything had a really strong bounce out of this range over the last 24 hours. We had almost everything come into the buy zone. You know what I mean? And then let's go to the longer time frame here, because that longer time frame that's where the real gems come from, right? So USTC is the only one. Like I told you guys before, I'm not an investor in USTC. I'm not confident with USTC until I get some news. But USTC, by the way, is just transactional. That's eventually going to be restabilized in a way where it's 2 cents, 3 cents. It's going to be some kind of spread tax to make it slowly build back up to $1, if in fact that's something that we're going to do. So you might see you're going to see this in oversold for a long period of time, and it's continued to kind of tweak down just a little bit. By the way, could have an incredible rip at any time, and because it's down at like 1.6 cents right now, the last time it pumped to 7.7 cents. So this really could go from from 1.6 cents up to 5 or 6 or 7 cents, and you could get a 4 or 5x off of UST pretty easily. It's just a matter of finding the bottom at this point, and having the confidence to know that even if you buy in at 1.6, 1.7 cents today, that it's going to go to 5 or 6 cents at some point. So and then making sure that you sell the top. Just make sure you sell the top. That's all you have to do. Next up, we have the Ape, Blur are still in this range. Orbs is still in the range. XMR, I'm not real confident in Monero at this point, but as we continue to build DeFi out, we're going to see a little bit more on Monero. We'll at some point that's going to be a big deal. So what is this one over here? MAV is coming down pretty hard. Mover is not moving. FXS is still down in this range. So there's some buy opportunities out there. But generally speaking, not a whole lot. Everything's already had that move, that big move, by the way. So now the question is, what about the rest of it? Well, let's go look and let's see what the big news of the day, other than, of course, the halving is. There we go. All right. So heard it on the X is Bitcoin hash rate 7-day SMA hits new all-time high of 653. Altcoins have their fun every 4 years. Years of accumulation, back test, and then full send. We're about to reach 0.3, which is full send. And guys, this is Mustache, been doing it for a long period of time. That's what we're in right now. Okay. So the last time we got a run on altcoins. So what we got the accumulation period, then we got the back test, and then we got the breakout. Okay. Over here, we got the move, we got the back test, we got the breakout. Over here, we got the move, we got the back test. It looks like we're about to have the breakout. It's following along the same pattern. Now the chart doesn't look the same every single time, but the pattern looks the same every single time. So we appear to be in that range right now. And by the way, this is a 1 week. So when we say this, let's make sure that we know this is a 1 week chart. So when you're looking at this, you're saying, well, we did the back test. Well, we just did the back test. How long did it take? It took, how long here to start to really kind of break out? It looks like it took about 5 to 6 to 7 weeks. Over here, it looks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6 weeks before we really started to get a breakout. So there's a little bit of time left, a little bit of accumulation momentum, maybe. So there we are. Looks like about 6 weeks, and then we're going to see the start of just a really parabolic sort of run, if in fact it plays out like it would normally play out. So there we go. Now, Nick Carter says the halving is priced in because it is something everybody understands, so it shouldn't be a factor on price formation here. That's his opinion, because and by the way, I think if I understand what he means, and I may not be getting this right, but if he says is something everybody understands, it shouldn't be a factor on price formation here. Every time we do this, it dips a little bit. We have to consider that there's manipulation happening in the market. So any move that we're going to see is just going to be a dump for manipulation purposes. Now, Ellie Tourette says, I've got a lot of messages about Gary Gensler. Is he really resigning from the SEC? And the answer is no. But she says, firstly, it's an election year, and there's a high possibility these could be his final few months as chairman, a position he likes, so it's unlikely he would throw in the towel early. Also, thanks to Bitcoin's strong performance over the past 6 months, miners are better positioned for the halving this time, according to Benchmark. Bitcoin derivatives, an easy way to get wrecked. The keep it simple, stupid acronym is always solid advice when it comes to Bitcoin investing. For all the passive warriors, this one is for you. Here's a look at the top 10 stocks by percentage of their shares owned by passive funds. 2 of them are now majority owned by index fund ETFs, with Cent at nearly 60%. And that would be they're getting too much in the weeds. That's not Bitcoin. As promised, we are now looking at Wyckoff. So now let's take Wyckoff distribution and look at where we are in this market for a sign of weakness or anything like that. The question is, where are we? This is, by the way, where are we? You know what I mean? This does not this does not give us what we need. This was well, let's say based on the Wyckoff distribution that there's an expectation that Bitcoin's going to dip down into the 52,000 range. That's the idea here on this Wyckoff distribution. But There's the up trust, and then there's the secondary test, one here, and then there's the resistance, and then there's the support, and then where's the automatic sell-off area. We're at the automatic sell-off area according to this, which means that they're expecting the price to come down a few more percentage points. So will it happen remains to be the question. As of right now, Bitcoin is still pumping just a little bit, recapturing. It's on a green candle right now on the hour, but it was a big sell-off, and that big sell-off seems to be getting bought up pretty quickly. So it looks like everything is sort of getting a robust reversal. Anyway, let's see. Ionic XBT. Time is running out. This is the message for you guys. All I'm going to say is time is running out. You need to buy altcoins now. Then you will profit later. If you don't want to fuck up this bull run and no regrets, then be here on the 28th of April. You don't want to miss this 100x opportunity. Set your calendars. And there you go. All right, guys. We got a new ad for today. It's Cryptonomy, but it's new. So we're going to pay the bills, and then I'm going to get out, be gone for the weekend, and then I will see you guys Monday morning. Guys, the bull run is almost here. The halving is almost here. The Hong Kong Ethereum ETF is almost here. You like ERC-20. We all like ERC-20. And the best way for you to accumulate more ERC-20 tokens or more Bitcoin, it's Cryptonomy.finance. If you've been here before, you know that I've been talking about a lot of these tokens. There's over 400 that you can choose from. They offer an exchange with the best rates, without commissions, and support from a highly qualified support and trading team 24/7. And this is available to every participant. Of course, you get immediate support if you are a VIP. And you can deposit UST into your Cryptonomy account, and then you can start to buy the desired assets that you want to use over here and exchange them as needed. Over 400 of them. And there's going to be a lot of updates coming out over the next couple days, weeks, and months. So guys, if you are looking to advance your crypto portfolio, you need more tokens. Why not let the tokens that you currently have work for you? Go to Cryptonomy.finance, sign up today, and let it grow.
Whoa, another shot of the bullet. Loaded, got complex, cocking and pulling. That bottleneck look like the Loch Ness. What are we doing? I'm about to fall out, boy, and the proof's in the pudding. So, can we forget about the things I said when I was drunk? I ain't mean to call you that. I'm ice cold like the keg the bartender tap. On another level like I'm fuck around with ASAP. So what's the word? What's the deal? Don't be asking how I'm doing unless you want to keep it real. Cause I'm all up in my field. Jesus, take the wheel. This liquor got me more set than Jagger Lil Pills.